They danced through the night. They held each other as lovers do. Inigo, with all of his study of movement, swirled like a light-footed dream, and Julieta had been trained since childhood for such things, and the musicians had played for fat dukes and grotesque merchants, but now, looking at this dark couple hardly touching ground, they realized their music had to match the dancers. Even today, all the servants in the Castle Cardinal remember the sound of that music. Of course, before the spinning and the holding, there were a few minor points that needed a bit of ironing out. Daddy likes you, Julieta said, watching as her father stormed away. Time out, Inigo said. If you're his daughter, that makes you a countess. And if you're a countess, that makes you a liar, because you said you were a servant. And if you're a liar, I cannot trust you, because there is no excuse for lying, especially when you knew of my dreams and my love. And so I must say farewell. He started to go. One more thing. This from Julieta. More lies. You judge. Yes, I am a countess. Yes, I lied. It is not all that easy being me. I do not expect sympathy, but you must hear my side. I am one of the richest women on earth. In the eyes of many men, one of the more attractive. I am also, please believe me, and I know it sounds arrogant, but I am also wise and tender and kind. I did not dress as a servant girl to fool you. I always dress as a servant girl, to try and find truth. Every eligible noble for 1,000 miles has come to the castle to ask my father for my hand. They say they want my happiness, but they only want my money. And all I want is love. Dreaded GM! Hello! I caught a little bit of your stream earlier, but I was prepping for this stream, so I didn't say anything, but I was lurking. Hello. Thank you for stopping by. I'm doing awesome. You're doing awesome. The stream looks amazing. I tried. I made the overlay myself. I've been trying to expect a raid in the future. Awesome. We were raided a couple weeks ago by Dice Legends, and it broke my little chat widget thing over here. So kind of kicking myself. I sent it to Dag, but didn't see it until now. That's okay. Send Dag love too. Uh-oh. I'm sorry, Dread. Nightbot doesn't like caps. I've had so many discussions with Nightbot. Click to show. Dice Legends is a good raid. Here's what Nightbot said. Or here's what Nightbot deleted. There you go. I was just excited about Dice Legends. Yeah, well, they were so exciting that they broke my chat widget and then nobody could talk. And so I was just about to end anyway, but it was just a completely blank screen on this side of me. And so I was just like, I can't see anybody. Nobody's saying anything. But it was, yeah. I tried refreshing and it didn't work. So I don't really know exactly what happened. But, yeah. How was your stream? I didn't know how to answer the question. If for people who were not in Dread's stream before, there was a deep philosophical question about greed, about how do you control your greed. It was just good to get back in and on. I hope you're having a good time in the US. And I lost my bookmark. Here it is. Okay. I hope you're having a good time in the US with your travels. It's a tricky one. Fancy dropped some dope knowledge. Such a great time. Dope knowledge about how to manage greed, because that's, I feel like, a very wise thing for a unicorn to say. It was great unicorn knowledge. I'm glad. So we're in the middle of the sort of epilogue chapter of The Princess Bride. something that does not exist in the movie. So we're seeing a little bit of Inigo Montoya's backstory right now, where he's meeting a countess named Giulietta. Keep reading. I'm really enjoying it. Aw, thank you. Okay, so let me find where I was. Let me get a drink, and then I will find. Amen Stunts, thank you for lurking. I've been occasionally stopping in on your streams recently, but I have also been lurking, and so I didn't say anything. All right, we were on the Countess. She always dresses as a servant girl. We said that part. To try and find truth. Every eligible noble for 1,000 miles has come to the castle to ask my father for my hand. They say they want my happiness, but they only want my money. And all I want is love. Inigo said nothing. She took a step, so she was closer. Then another, so she was beside him. Then she whispered quickly, "When you came here with your dream, you won my heart. But I had to wait, to think. And now I have thought." She gestured for the musicians to play even more beautifully. "This is our party. We are the only guests. I did all this to please you. And if you do not kiss my mouth, Inigo Montoya of Spain, I will more than likely die." How could he not obey her? They danced through the night. Oh, how they danced, Inigo and Giulietta. And they embraced. And he kissed her mouth and her tumbling hair. And Inigo felt, for the first time since the dying, such happiness. It had fled from him, happiness. And when you spend years without, you forget that no blessing compares. I really like this scene. Semi-lurk dread. That's fine. Semi-lurk away. I really like this scene, but also the thought that sort of popped through my head that took me out of it, is that she gestured for the musicians to play beautifully. Like, we were talking earlier about I have some dance experience. And there's no like there's no hand gesture that's like, "You're doing a mediocre job, be better." Like, what kind of a hand gesture would that be? But yeah, I don't know. That took me out of it just a tiny bit, but I also love this picture of like that she's in disguise, and then she like reveals herself, and then they dance and they kiss, and it's beautiful. But while the dance is underway, and she compels the music to play. Yeah. Is that what it says in your version? Is there a different version of the book? But yeah, I can see like if they've already started dancing, because there was a sentence before that was like they're dancing, looking at this dark couple hardly touching the ground. They realized their music had to match the dancers. No, that's from a song, Lady Moon. My version doesn't have this chapter. Oh, okay. But the line is talking about the musicians who have played for all these different types of people before, but they're looking at the couple and they realize their music has to match the dancers. Usually it's the other way around. Usually the dancers kind of move their bodies to match the music. But there have been like very rare moments when I've just felt like I just need to dance and I don't care if there's music or not. And I feel like that is where Inigo and Giulietta are right now. Like that the dance is like between them and they're lost in each other's eyes and they just want to dance. And it's like the music is just sort of like, come along if you want to join us, kind of like an invitation to the musicians to get in on the dance if they want to. I feel like that's probably what that's trying to convey, or at least in my mind, because I've had those like very small moments where, or like very rare moments, I guess, where it sort of feels like the dance comes first and then the music follows. But it's hard to do it that way. Guess what? It stops there. Bang. The little riff on happiness. End of section. I call this the unexplained Inigo fragment. And what Peter objected to, as well as the fact that he finds it confusing, is simply this. Nothing happens. He's right in a strictly narrative way, but I feel that here, for the first time, Morgenstern shows us the human side of Inigo, so we know he's more than just this Spanish revenge machine. Frankly, I wish I had known this part existed before I read The Princess Bride. I don't think I could have cared any more deeply than I did, but my God, what poor Inigo gave up to honor his father. Think about it. We all have fantasies, right? You think before I met and married her, I carried about this vision of Helen, my genius shrink of a wife? Of course not. But here Inigo has made this perfect creature for his own heart, and he finds her, and she loves him back, and they part. That's an assumption of mine, I know. But since we are told Inigo had a heavy heart when he reached despair, and he came there from Italy, I have to go that way. I included this section here for a very simple reason. I think it's Morgenstern at his best. I ran it by King, of course, and he felt I had to include it since Morgenstern did. He also put me in touch with this professor cousin he has at Florin University, the son of the lady who runs the great restaurant. And this cousin, a Morgenstern expert, feels that the confusion on my part is my fault, that if I'd done sufficient scholarly preparation, I would understand Morgenstern's symbolism, and would therefore know that plenty happens here. Namely, according to this cousin anyway, it is here that Inigo first learns that Humperdinck has set a plan in motion to kidnap Wesley and Buttercup's first child, right after it's born. And then Inigo has to race back to the one tree and stop that from happening. King's cousin says this unexplained Inigo fragment isn't a fragment at all, but a completed part of the whole of the novel. I don't get any of that. If you do, great. And while you're at it, decide if you think I was right or not including it. If you disagree, that's okay. All I know is my heart was pure. Buttercup and Wesley. The four great horses seemed almost to fly toward Florin Channel. It appears to me as if we're doomed, then, Buttercup said. Wesley looked at her. Doomed, madam? To be together, till one of us dies. I've done that already, and I haven't the slightest intention of ever doing it again, Wesley said. Buttercup looked at him. Don't we sort of have to sometime? Not if we promise to outlive each other, and I make that promise now. Buttercup looked at him. Oh, my Wesley, so do I. From behind them suddenly, closer than they had imagined, they could hear the roar of Humperdinck. Stop them! Cut them off! They were, admittedly, startled, but there was no reason for worry. They were on the fastest horses in the kingdom, and the lead was already theirs. However, this was before Inigo's wound reopened, and Wesley relapsed again, and Fezzik took the wrong turn, and Buttercup's horse threw a shoe, and the night behind them was filled with the crescendoing sound of pursuit. You see what he's done here? This half page above us is, of course, the ending of The Princess Bride, and this will only take a sec, but I'd like to draw attention to what he's doing in the sequel, playing with time. Look, I snitched in my explanation that Waverley was going to get kidnapped. Forget that. Morgenstern tells you the same in the very opening pages with Fezzik on the mountain. Okay, so the kidnapping's already happened. Then in the unexplained Inigo fragment, he tells us that the kidnapping's about to happen, at least according to King's cousin he does. Now here, he goes back to before Buttercup and Wesley have even safely gotten away from Humperdinck. I think it's interesting, but some of you may find it confusing. Willie, my grandchild, did. I was reading it out loud to him, and how great a feeling was that, sports fans, when he said, wait a sec, So I did, and he said, "How can Inigo hear about the kidnapping and the next sentence practically, it's Princess Bride all over again?" I explained it was the way Morgenstern chose to tell this particular story. And then he said this, "Can you do that?" I sure hope so. However, this was before Inigo's wound reopened. Me again. And no, that was not a typo. I just thought it would make the transition easier if I repeated the last paragraph. Go on. Go right on now. Hi there. Thanks for joining our book club. If you'd like to join the conversation, I would love it if you would leave us a comment. And if you'd like to see more, check out the playlist.